Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan, and we are coming to you live from the CNN News 18 primetime studio presented by Greenlam Laminates. Now, even as the Archaeological Survey of India, or the ASI, inspected 5 pilgrimage sites and 19 wells in Sambhal, including that of the Bhadrak Ashram, Swargadeep and Chakrapani, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath making a Save Sanatan pitch yet again. On the 5th of December, in a veiled jibe at the opposition, Yogi Adityanath, the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister, had stated that the DNA of Babur, whose general carried out atrocities in Ayodhya and Sambhal 500 years ago, the perpetrators of Hindu atrocities in Bangladesh and the divisive forces in Bharat were identical. Today again, he was steadfast in his Save Sanatan stand when he referred to the plight of Hindus in neighboring countries, particularly Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan, condemning the atrocities faced by the Hindu community and calling for the preservation of Sanatan values. He also said, and I quote, "Our sages gave the world the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, thousands of years ago. Sanatan Dharma has always been a refuge for all faiths during the times of crisis. But have Hindus been treated the same way? The violence in Bangladesh and previously in Pakistan and Afghanistan reflects the challenges faced by the Hindu community." Mentioning Kashi Vishwanath Dham, Ayodhya, Sambhal, which he said was believed to be associated with Kalki Avatar and Bhojpur, the Chief Minister asserted that Hindu temples have been repeatedly targeted for centuries. He made a strong pitch for Sanatan while addressing a gathering at the Asarfi Bhavan Peeth in Ayodhya.
कि अगर विश्व मानवता को बचाना है तो उसका एक ही मार्ग है, सनातन धर्म का सम्मान करो। सनातन धर्म सुरक्षित है तो दुनिया में सब कोई सुरक्षित है। हजारों वर्ष पहले हमारे ऋषियों ने हमें एक ही प्रेरणा दी, अयम निज परोवेति गणना लघु चेतसाम उदार चरितानाम तो सुधेव कुटुंबकम। और याद करिए, दुनिया के अंदर अकेले सनातन धर्म है जिसने दुनिया की हर जाति, हर मत, हर मजहब, हर संप्रदाय के लोगों को उसकी विपत्ति के समय शरण दे करके संरक्षण दिया है। लेकिन क्या दुनिया के अंदर ऐसे ही हिंदुओं के साथ भी हो रहा है क्या? ऐसे ही हो रहा है क्या? आज बांग्लादेश में क्या हो रहा है? पाकिस्तान में क्या हुआ था? इससे पहले अफगानिस्तान में क्या हुआ था?
So now the larger question is this Aastha speaking, or is it trying to ensure that there is a certain vote bank that doesn't shift away from Yogi and the BJP? Tuin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP with us, Faizan Kidwai, spokesperson of Samajwadi Party with us, and Anand Ranganathan, author, political commentator and scientist with us. Namaste. Namaste, and thank you for joining us this evening. We'll try and go across to Tuin Sinha first up. Tuin, how would you respond to what Yogi Adityanath has said? Because some, although these are absolutely two variant aspects, are drawing parallels with what he said and also what Mohanji Bhagwat said.
Well, namaste, Anand, namaste, everybody. You know, India is a civilizational nation, and the civilization draws its roots in cultural roots in Sanatan ethos. That's a fact which everybody needs to accept. Those not accepting, and those, like Rahul Gandhi, who believe that India's history started with, the invasions in 1198 AD, the country has shown them their place. So the country is in a revivalist mode, and that needs to be respected. When I hear Yogi Ji's speeches, he is particularly perturbed, he's particularly anguished by what has happened in Bangladesh in the last 4 months, especially 2,000 plus attacks on Hindu homes. And I think, that is something which has repeated itself time and again over the last 200 years across the subcontinent. In fact, we saw the same happening in Kashmir in January in 1990. And the demography war is for real. We have had Samajwadi Party MPs or MLAs claiming that 2027 में आपका क्या होगा, हमारी आबादी इतनी बढ़ रही है. The same is being done by Firad Hakim, the right-hand man of Mamta Banerjee. So this demography threat is for real, and this is precisely what Yogi ji has been warning the country against, because this demography war is perpetrated and encouraged by certain political parties. In the south, you have people who are talking about eradicating Sanatan. And the Congress party encourages all this talk through its silence in some places and by consciously encouraging it in other places. So I think, the demography threat is for real. What is happening in Bangladesh could happen in other parts, in some of the parts of the country. And I think that is precisely what Yogi ji is highlighting.
So it's not it's not about trying to corner the Hindu vote.
Not at all. Not at all. Yogi ji has lived his faith day in and day out. He has not changed a bit from 2017 or from the time that he entered politics in 1998. His values, his thought process has been pretty much the same in the last 26 years that he has been in public life.
Faizan Kitwai?
Hi, good evening to everybody. See, Tuhin says that Yogi ji hasn't changed a bit since 2017 or since whenever he started. This is not something he should be proud of. A person should evolve with time and become more tolerant. This is not a good thing. You shouldn't be boasting about it. You should be silent. If somebody says, has he changed? You said, yes, he has changed for good. But unfortunately, he hasn't. See, Nelson Mandela, it's not exactly a quote. This is what he felt. He said, those in power often try to hide their failures by dividing people and pitting them against each other. Some politicians fall often, and then they make it a habit to divert attention from their failures. This is exactly what Yogi ji is doing. Yogi ji also suffers from what we say a God complex. I'm sure everybody remembers a very popular character from a serial which says, "Kabhi kabhi to lagta hai apunish Bhagwan hai." But I'm happy that the Honorable Supreme Court, while making an observation about the bulldozer Jungle Raj, called it unconstitutional. It's against the right, Article 21 of the Constitution, which gives every individual the right to shelter. But unfortunately, this selective targeting in Uttar Pradesh is happening. I'll quote you a few reports. There's an Indian Express report of 2020-22. It says 105 properties were demolished. Majority belonged to Muslims. Via report says 75% of those targeted by bulldozers were opposition party members and Muslims. A fact-finding committee, which is Citizens for Justice and Peace, it says in BJP-ruled states, bulldozers are disproportionately used against opposition members and the Muslims. An investigation by Hindu, the paper says, in UP, no action is taken against BJP leaders who are inciting violence, giving hate speeches, but minorities and opposition party members are constantly targeted. There are many such reports. I can quote, I can go on and on. But to the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson, to Tuhin, I'd like to say, he's a very reasonable person and a decent human being. Tuhin, you should question Mr. Adityanath. There is vast unemployment in Uttar Pradesh, in India at large. There's an SSO figure, which जो आपकी सरकार ने रोक दिया पिछले कुछ वक्त से, that unemployment is highest in the last 45 years. But instead of solving that issue, you people are diverting attention. You are creating this rift, this divide on communal lines. Is it something good that is happening in Uttar Pradesh or in India at large? Mr. Bhagwat has pointed out earlier, made a comment today also, he made a comment, कि जो धर्म के नाम पे जो बार-बार ये मंदिर मस्जिद की बात कर रहे हैं, they are trying to politicize it, gain some political benefits from it. So, Tuhin, I would genuinely ask you to go and counsel your party leaders to stop this drama, because क्या होता है, Tuhin, people of India at large are very good. They are either be Hindus or Muslims. They are very nice. You can fool them sometime. You can, but you can't fool them all the time. Eventually, देखिए 2024 में जो आपका तरक्की का रथ रोका गया था, वो 27 में पूरी तरह से ध्वस्त हो जाएगा electorally. Right. क्योंकि जो उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता है, they have seen through it, and there's widespread resentment against the way Mr. Adityanath is functioning. This selective targeting won't be beneficial for the country at large and for your party also. Right.
Quick response to Insina before I go to Dr. Ranganathan.
I don't know why my friend Faizan does not want me to question Ziaul Rahman Barq. The person who has been indulging in theft of electricity for the last 10 years, amounting to 1.91 crore. And if I go to his grandfather, Bashirul Rahman Barq, he is notorious for statements like Sharia should be implemented in the country. He, in fact, welcomed the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan 3 years ago. But my problem is that, this is the kind of radical group to which Samajwadi Party caters. Imagine the level of theft which may have been taking place in Sambhal if the MP over there has not been paying his, and this is the same mentality, the SA Basha mentality in Coimbatore a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, procession. Thousands of people participated in the procession where he was being cremated. The same person who was involved in a terror blast in 1998. Samajwadi Party needs to grow out of this mentality where some of its leaders, particularly the radicalized ones, are still struggling to come to the notions of a modern nation state where they are living in a parallel world where they feel that they can bully Hindus in that region.
Can I rebut? Can I?
Wait, Doctor, if you allow me. Okay, quick rebuttal and then I'll bring in Dr.
Okay, yes. So this is like ये BJP. This is your Sangeet Som. ऑफिस से उठा के लाऊंगा वहीं सीधा कर दूंगा. He's talking this, saying this to a bureaucrat. ये आपके संगीत सोम हैं. Then उसके बाद your BJP Bal Mukund enters a religious place, Muslim religious place, disrespects people where women were also there. आपके BJP के संगीत सोम का तो वीडियो सुना गिरिराज से कि सब लोग जमा हो जाओ मारो थप्पड़ मुसलमानों को. एक हैं आपके नीतीश राणे, he says we'll forcefully enter mosques. Tuhin, you tell me, are these good statements? Is this the way a civilized society should function? I am not condoning anything wrong that somebody is doing. But when there's selective targeting, then my dear friend, आप एक अच्छा narrative set नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप देश तोड़ रहे हैं. आप उस वक्त देशभक्त नहीं, आप देशद्रोही बनते हैं.
Now there are a few questions. There are a few questions I'd just like to put out there, and it is for the viewers and also the individual spokespersons. Before I ask Dr. Ranganathan to offer his comments, in 1972 and in 1978, when a whole lot of people had to run away from Sambhal for 46 years. Temples that had been shut down, areas that had been encroached, wells that had been covered. Under successive governments of the Samajwadi Party, were these opened? Were these people rehabilitated? Why were these temples kept in lock and key? When that only 5 set of people as ordered by the court are supposed to be present, when the survey was happening at the Jama Masjid, including the Muslim Paksh and its lawyers, did or did not an MP force his way into that area without the permission of the courts and also overruling the mandate of the courts? And did he or did he not intimidate the people to stop the survey immediately? Did he or did he not go ahead and spread misinformation? Were his and his supporters not present there trying to unleash mayhem when a court-ordered survey was happening sometime in the 19th of December? Multiple questions remain. And is this entire aspect of communal harmony or social harmony the responsibility of only one section of society, or is it a collective responsibility? And if there is a place which historically is supposed to be a place of Aastha for Hindus because it is supposed to be deemed to be the birthplace of the 10th avatar of Vishnu, should that place be a religious pilgrimage or not? Did any successive government of the Samajwadi Party, the BSP, the Congress, etc. ever raise this question that this is an ASI site? This is a site of, it's a national heritage site supposed to be under the aegis of ASI. Why is that the ASI is not in control of this particular place? How many state governments actually raise this question? So those talking about communal harmony and social harmony today, quite rich, that when you were in power or your allies or those who you fought with political battles in the past never stood up. So batting for one side while remaining quiet for the other is not secularism. That is also appeasement. Anand Ranganathan.
May I respond?
Yeah, thank you, Faizan bhai. I've been waiting very patiently, and I think it's wonderful. Yeah, Anand, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Both are great friends, and they've contributed wonderfully to this lovely debate. But I don't want this to degenerate into Hindu-Muslim selective quoting or quoting one discrimination another. I think this has to be at a level that is much above that, possibly philosophical, because the questions you have raised, Anand, need addressing. Now, Tuhin, my good friend, addressed the yogi part of it. What you asked also was Dr. Mohan Bhagwat part of it. So please allow me 3 or 4 minutes to address that, because I think that's very important. At the outset, let me say this, Anand, I profoundly disagree with Dr. Mohan Bhagwat on his statement that Ram Temple is enough and that further demand for justice and reclamation should stop. This follows, as you know, his earlier 2022 statement, why look for shivling in every mosque? I'm sorry, but I find such statements flippant, frivolous, and an insult to all those who seek to legally correct historical injustices. And for him to conceitedly add that after the construction of Ram Mandir, some people think they can become leaders of Hindus by raking up similar issues in new places, I'm sorry, is an insult to true icons like Shri Hari Jain and Vishnu Jain, who have devoted all their lives for the Hindu cause and are determined to reclaim every demolished Hindu temple. I know I would be pilloried for this, and many would say, "Tu kaun hai bhai? Ek sangi ko Hinduism mat sikha, chal side pe ho." To them, I say yes. You may say that I, as a Darwinian atheist, have no right to intervene, but I assert that this is not a Hindu issue or a Muslim issue or a religious issue. Looking for shivlings, reclaiming demolished, destroyed places of worship, correcting historical injustices, Anand, is an Indian issue. It is a civilizational issue. To say reclaiming Ram Janambhoomi is enough for Hindus is a facetious argument. Anand, the one hallmark of justice is that it has to be applied universally, because when one goes by logic, morality, first principles, objectivity, as science and law teach one to do, numbers do not matter. 4 or 40 or 40,000, each and every cry for justice must be heard. But when one goes by fear, emotion, coercion, subjectivity, numbers matter. Decide where you stand. Will you, for example, say, let us demand reopening of just 3 cases of atrocities against Kashmiri Hindus, only the most prominent ones, Nilkant Ganju, Girija Tiku, Lassa Kaul. No need to hurt Muslim sentiments by reopening 29,997 other cases. To many, Krishna Janamsthan would be more sacred than Ram Janamsthan. To others, Kashi Vishwanath would be more sacred than others. Yet others, their Kul Devi's temples would be above everything. Who is Dr. Bhagwat or anyone to decide or rank the importance of gods and their abodes? Every demolished temple must be resurrected. Every shivling unearthed. Every idol reclaimed. I said earlier, Anand, that this is a civilizational issue, because to me, the mark of a civilization is this unquenchable thirst of man to demand justice for his ancestors, to correct a historical wrong. For that exemplifies a continuity, an idea, a memory that can never be erased, that is worth fighting for and preserving. It makes justice greater than the sum of its parts. And that is why a civilization is not fleeting like an empire. To demand justice for a people who are dead for hundreds of years, it is almost as though you can feel their pain, their suffering, their destruction that has transcended the limits of body and time. And that is why history is a medicine, why catharsis is a cure. And today, when I see Hindus like Vishnu and Hari Jainji wishing to reclaim Kashi Vishwanath or Mathura, I see this as a catharsis, as a deliverance of justice to my ancestors who were wrong. I do not know how long it would take, what shape the reclaimed temples would take. I do not know when they would ultimately come up. In a way, being an atheist, these issues are not important to me. But I know for a fact that today, seeing Hindus fight for their rights, the deliverance has come. And it is confounding to me, because I am but a bunch of cells. Here today, gone tomorrow. But till the time I am alive, Anand, this concept of striving to correct a historical justice is vital. It defines who I am, what civilization I am part of. That erasing my genes cannot erase my civilization. The concept of justice is like memory, Anand, just 30 seconds. It keeps getting passed on until realized. And we have to realize it. The historian Sri Sitaram Goel has meticulously tabulated 1862 mosques that are built upon demolished temples. According to many, this number may be as high as 40,000. And that is why we need to look for each and every shivling, wherever it is, hidden or exposed, underground or over it. We owe it to our ancestors, Anand. We owe it to justice itself.
Frankly, those who truly follow the tenets of Islam, there should never be a shivling or a murti or any vigraha under any mosque. Because that is the reality. And the fact is that nobody is going up digging mosques. People are going and petitioning in front of the courts and asking the right bodies to do a survey and do it in the scientific manner. Now to come out, and those who say that if you dare go to the courts, which is supposed to be the legal right of every citizen, to ask for what people believe is a civilizational correction, and it should be proven by facts and by data. And if their claim is wrong, let the data show, let the images show. That's what they're saying. And if they say that this is not the constitutional right of somebody, and if there are people who will come out and say that these are just rabble-rousing individuals who are trying to do it for their 2-bit of fame, then Tuhin Sinha, do you not believe that those who claim to be custodians of Bharatiyata and Hindutva, themselves are doing a disservice to society, social harmony, and also the historicity of Itihas of Bharat. Do you believe, Tuhin Sinha, that these people who are going to the courts are doing for their 2 bit of attention?
Well, I think Param Adarniya Sar Sanchalik
So do you believe Yogi Adityanath, when he stands up for the causes of historical wrongs, Sambhal's history, is it lost on all of us? Has everybody forgotten the riots of 1972 and 1978? And the exodus of Hindus from there who are coming back after 46 years?
Well, 40,000 temples in this country have been destroyed. It's a fact. And I think,
it's not a fact. It's an assumption. It's not a fact.
No. What assumption? You refer to Rahul Gandhi's history.
Give me concrete data. Give me proof. Give me proof.
Okay. Now there is concrete data that is stated 1862 mosques by Sitaramji in his chronicle. So you will dismiss. You will cancel. No. You will cancel.
That's an exaggeration.
So you will cancel him out. You will cancel him out.
Please give me time to respond.
You will cancel him out.
Please give me time to respond. I don't want to interject while Tuhin or anybody is speaking.
The fact is,
I'll
come to you, Faizan Kidwai. I'll give you your time. But the fact is, Faizan Kidwai, that this entire aspect of respect, this entire prism of respect, it's a railway track, sir. It runs parallel. One track cannot just run and the other one cannot decide to go in whatever direction they want to, while the other is supposed to toe the line. So that's one part. Yes, Tuhin Sinha, please. Yes, complete. Let Tuhin complete and then
I think Param Adarniya Sar Sanchalik ji was talking about the future. There are disputes which have pre-existed for a very long time now, and those disputes obviously cannot be closed overnight. He was probably thinking about the future, that this should not become a trend from here. Now, number two, I think he also had a subtle message in his speech for the Waqf board, because the way Waqf board has been usurping property without any basis, without any logic, I think that needs to be stopped. So, often the messaging is subtle. But having said that, coming back to the point, I think Samajwadi Party needs to do a lot of introspection on this show today, since we are discussing Sambhal. Let Faizan justify, does he justify 1.91 crore power theft, which has been happening for the last 10 years? And I'm telling you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Bulldozer politics will not stop. It will just follow the strictures laid out by the Supreme Court. So it was not hasty in this case. Obviously, it happened after 4 weeks, after all the strictures were met. But people like Ziaul Barq, who have been repeat offenders and who think that they are above law, should be dealt with strictly. And
Sir,
that is what
people who cheat and loot public money and public resources is one aspect. The other aspect, Faizan Kidwai, is, does the Samajwadi Party stand for and back only one Samaj? Are Hindus not part of the Samaj? And their rights, their Aastha, does it not mean anything?
Yes, I'll tell you. Samajwadi Party in Shri Akhilesh Yadav. Sir, Anand bhai, just let me complete and then you can put your point. So, of course, Samajwadi Party, Akhilesh Yadav himself is a proud Hindu. And Akhilesh Yadav, and he's an OBC also. So kindly Tuhin, tell me, if you respect all Hindus, then जब अखिलेश यादव उन्होंने चीफ मिनिस्टर का घर छोड़ा था तो उनका घर गंगा जल से क्यों धुलवाया? Why did BJP RSS people wash a temple that Akhilesh ji visited with गंगा जल? मैं कंप्लीट कर लूं साथ में एक साथ बहुत दे रहा हूं सब साथ में दीजिएगा. अभी इतना पॉइंट पे थोड़ी रुकने वाला हूं, बहुत दूंगा आपको, 50-60 पॉइंट दूंगा, ठीक है? And then, as Anand bhai said, reclaim everything. As Anand bhai was with me on a earlier debate. Anand bhai, if you remember, I gave you a rough figure that there are around 27 lakh temples and places of worship in India. So roughly around 3,000 per district in Uttar Pradesh, if we talk about that. So there'll be chaos, there'll be hatred. चलिए ठीक है, if you are ready to do that, fair enough. साथ ही मैं ये भी कहना चाहूँगा, अगर ये बातें खुलेंगी, तो between the 12th and 8th and 12th century, when Buddhism was on a decline and Hinduism was on resurgence, a lot of Buddhist places of worship were taken over by the Hindu kings and the priests.
Faizan Kidwai,
sir,
I have limited time.
Let me complete.
Okay.
I'll just quote.
Yeah.
And destruction of temples was not only limited to the Muslim invaders from a different faith. Somnath temple was demolished by Bhima I, Cholakya dynasty in 1026 CE. Markand temple in Jammu and Kashmir damaged by Lalita Mukhopadhyay of Kolkata dynasty. Mahakota temple in Karnataka by Vijay Aditya of Cholakya dynasty.
No.
One
minute. Hang on. Hang on.
No.
The Martand temple, the destruction of the Martand temple, the desecration of the Martand temple happened by the Muslim invaders at the time when there was a forceful conversion by the sword in Jammu and Kashmir. Let's not try and gloss over. Let's not try and get disjointed points of history to try and make a convoluted argument. Faizan Kidwai. Simple point. No, 1 minute. One minute, Faizan Kidwai. Let me tell you. Let there be a single case where a Buddhist comes up and a Buddhist group comes up and says that this vihara, this temple belongs to Buddhists, and let me see if there is a single Hindu group which comes out and threatens mayhem, riots, stone pelting, etc. When a claim like that is made in a
No. The source is the Archaeological Survey of India. Question the Archaeological Survey of India then.
And let's see what happens. So Faizan Kidwai, I'll tell you what, when you point fingers at others, walk the talk, sir. Not a single Muslim group or Muslim Sangathan has walked the talk when they said they truly believe in Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb and a place of Aastha, proven place of Aastha of Hindus which was desecrated, destroyed in the past, has not been gladly, voluntarily vacated and helped restore that place. Give me one example where the Muslim Samudaya of Azad Hind, of Azad Hindustan has done that, sir. They've not. They have said, go to court, prove that it is a place of Aastha. Despite me knowing it, I will continue to wash my hands and feet, continue to call it a fountain, and I will not allow anybody to prove whether it's a shivling or a fountain with respect to Gyanvapi. That's the Hindu Aastha, that's what they believe. And then they turn around and say, let's talk secularism, let's talk harmony. Now, Anand Ranganathan have to wind up. Yes, 30 seconds, sir.
Yeah, so please, I beg not to be interrupted because Faizan Bhai raised important questions, but it's very hurtful because he's a very good friend. For him to doubt the scholarship of Sita Ramji is very painful because the most meticulously documented 1800 odd temples that were demolished were done by Sita Ramji. And for him to say he's an RSS guy, well, whom do we believe? Historians like Thapar and Habib would probably say, accuse Hindus, why the hell did you make temples under the mosques? Ye janna
Richard Eaton, sir. And number two, believe Richard Eaton, sir. Please, sir. Sorry.
Please. The second fact is that D.N. Jha and Romila Thapar were challenged by Sitaram Goyalji and other historians to give one proof of a Buddhist shrine or some place of worship demolished by Hindus. One proof. They were not able to give ever. And for you to say Martand temple was desecrated not by Islamic invaders but by Hindus, Faizan bhai, aap kaun se school se ye
Archaeological Survey of India.
1 minute. Tell me, I'm just saying, let anybody who's trying to threaten social fabric, communal harmony, etc., give us one example where a known, chronicled, itihas-proven place of Hindu Aastha was voluntarily vacated and given up by the Muslim Samudaya post-independence.
But sir,
it's not happened. And look at the audacity that a fight of 500 years of legal fight of Ram Janmabhoomi, when the Honorable Supreme Court adjudged in favor of the Ram Janmabhoomi and Ramlala Virajman, the tone adopted by the Muslims was, "Jao aapko de diya." That was the tone adopted after such a. That was the tone adopted, sir.
You're demonizing an entire.
So let's walk the talk on both sides, sir. The rule of social harmony, the rule of trying to have the so-called Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb has Ganga and Jamuna together. The Sangam happens only when both make the effort. It cannot be a one-sided effort and a one-sided indication that you challenge us and we will come out to the streets. We challenge you, you fight it in court. That cannot be done. We've got to take a short break. Thank you. I've got to wind up. We've run out of time. When we come back, big story coming in from Assam. Their target was the chicken neck. Their target was to somehow de-link the rest of Bharat from the northeast of Bharat. Stay with us.